Hey, good morning, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us this morning, folks. Right here is Simon. Hello, Simon.
Adam, hello. So, how are you? There you are.
I'm
Sorry, I
great.
was just off camera.
Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to open up my YouTube. Hey, good morning, everyone. And put it on mute. So there we go.
Morning, everyone.
Yeah,
All the way from England.
absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to see you. We had a chance to catch up for a few minutes before we leave. We went live, and so I met Simon because he works for a company that's in the Raleigh area, the Triangle area, and he comes and does things here, and he loves crate digging. So,
Oh yeah, every time.
yeah, that's how I met Simon. Yes, are you doing well over there? Does everyone seem to be safe?
Well, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a rocky road, isn't it? This thing, and it's been a bear. It really has been awful. But we are slowly emerging from a lockdown. But there are little peaks, and then it breaks on, and it breaks off, and it breaks on, and so restaurants are open. Some now they're not. You can get a haircut. No, you can't. And then perhaps in an area they go hard on it because there's a little sort of flare up. But for the most part, I think we're headed in a good direction. And you can go to a bar now and get a drink. You can get a meal. It's a little bit weird. You can go and buy a record, which I did the other day. So just about, Adam, just about. But I know it's around the world. It's a different pattern in different places. And I know in the States it's very. I know it's been a strange experience. Different parts of the country at different times.
Yeah, especially as we're approaching our first record store day drops this year,
Yeah.
and I've almost got everything figured out for that, and so I'll be announcing that soon about
Good.
record store day drops, and which is the 29th, which is a week from tomorrow.
Right.
A week from Saturday. Yeah. So
Cool.
we go.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Simon. I'm excited to see what you're going to share with us today. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, pleasure. Listen, this is great fun. I love talking about records. That's why I come and talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do? Just make a start, yeah?
Yeah, just start showing some cool records or records.
Right. So I was trying to work out. So this, I think, is the first record I bought. I can't be absolutely sure. It's between this one and the next one. And I can't quite remember when I bought it, but I was born in 1965, and I think I got this around 1977. So I was probably 12, and the next record the same. And I know ABBA's a little bit cheesy, and for a long time I was a denier. I wouldn't admit to my friends because it wasn't cool that you liked ABBA, but yeah, I always did, and I've got loads of ABBA records. So yeah, and
absolutely.
And they were coupled up, weren't they? These guys,
Yeah.
They were all married to each other, and then I think at some point they were married to the other one. They all had relationships with various times.
It was ABBA forward and backwards. Yeah.
How very Swedish. But I always thought the girls were quite hot. So.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those debates when I think I was at school: is do you like Agneta, the blonde one, or do you like the other lady whose name I forget now? But anyway.
Yeah.
They were great. And
good morning, Anthony, you music freak. Cheers. Thanks for joining us. The STE Green Adventure. Hey, good morning, STE Green Adventure. Thanks for joining us
here. UK. I'm from the UK also, so
you guys might be neighbors and related to Ty.
Well, if you're anywhere near Chester, then yes, there's a chance we could collide. So you'll have to let us know where you're from.
Absolutely.
Hey, so yeah, that I think was the first record, which it's not too bad, huh? It's not too awful.
That's awesome. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Morning. Nothing wrong with that, but no, I agree. And actually, to be honest, they won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1976. This was like a year later, and they already had a greatest hits album. I mean, talk about prolific output. There's dozens and dozens of. So I keep going the wrong way with the. There's so many tracks on there, all of which are bangers. They're really good songs. So they were on good form in the mid 70s. This then is the other record it could have been. And I think it was Christmas money, and I wanted to run down and get this. And I don't even know why or how I found out about it. I was probably, again, 12 or 13 at best. So we're talking 1977, 78, somewhere around then. And I got this, and I'm pretty sure it was Christmas. And I remember getting a record token and a voucher, and I ran down to, I don't even know where I bought it. Anyway, I loved this cover, and it may have been that I just bought it on the strength of the cover. But I think I did know that the guy was like a pioneering sort of French pioneer, electronic pioneer, and he just made this really, because Oxygen is the album before this, and I feel like I've heard a couple of those songs, and this had just come out, and I thought I must get this, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant stuff.
It is good stuff. Hey, good morning, Harry. Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, I love the cover though, and I haven't seen that cover for a while because I haven't played this very frequently, but yeah, it's quite a thing.
Yeah, I like the fact that yours is glossy. Yeah.
Yeah, very, and it's probably not been played very much actually. In truth, even though it's how many years old? 35 plus 40.
Yeah. Steve Greens is from Midlands.
The Midland, Wolverhampton, sir. Okay, I've been to Wolverhampton a few times. I think I saw Cooler Shaker play at is it the Wolfram Hall? I think it is. There's a civic centre in the middle of Wolverhampton, which I've been to, if not maybe more than once actually. I forget who I saw also there, but certainly I saw Cooler Shaker in Wolverhampton. So
there you go.
Hats off to you.
There you go. Good morning, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Cheers. If you're just joining us, folks, our guest today is Simon. He's from the UK, and I met Simon when he would come to the States, and he works for a company that's in the Triangle, and he would come crate digging. So there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Miss you coming back. I miss you. Hope you can come back really soon.
Oh, I miss it all, Adam. I like coming over. I've got a team over there, and my boss is there. It's a good fun, and I've really got to like Raleigh a lot, and I like hanging out with you. And both there's the. Are you in? Which store are you in today?
I'm in Raleigh today, but I'm going to Wake Forest soon.
Yeah, and I tried Wake Forest just the last time I was there. This then is so this is The Cure, 17 Seconds, and for my money, I think this is the best. Well, not the best. I think it's one of the best Cure albums. It's probably my favorite. It's the one that speaks to me most, I think. It's early on. What year is this? 1980. It's before they went sort of big and goth and stadium, which again I like a lot of. And it's before they had the sort of the breakup. They went through the sort of pornography phase, the breakup phase. Then they came back with the sort of the Walk and Japanese Whispers and those sort of songs. But this was early on in the career. I think what was Three Imaginary Boys was before this one, and then this. And it's apparently he wrote this. Robert Smith wrote most of this album in one evening. He got into a brawl or a fight after a gig, went to his room in his sort of low rent hotel, and he wrote 3 or 4 of the tracks on this album all in one sitting. And it has that sort of there's quite an intense feeling comes through it, which I really like. So 17 Seconds, probably my favorite Cure album, and that was an early acquisition too. I was mad about the Cure for years and years and years.
I wish there was a 3-hour remix of A Forest. I could listen to that all long.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant track, and on here, of course, it sounds when you see it live, as I have. Yeah, I mean they'll make that song go on and on and on and on. They'll just when you think it's going to stop, they bring it all up again, and it's yeah, Forest is brilliant live. Great track, great album. Well worth the play. I like that sort of stripped back, sort of basic production feel. So it's like an antidote to sort of modern, over heavily produced records. You can tell they're good songs because they stand it, you know.
Here's a comment for you.
Wolfram Hall. Sorry, I've just seen the message. Yes, small. Yes, it is the Wolfram Hall. I thought it was.
And then Chris says, Jean-Michel sounds like techno Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc Ponty. I don't know who that last name is. So you've had me there, Chris.
So he plays violin, and by all means, he's considered jazz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Harry, so Raleigh to Wake Forest is 14 miles. From Raleigh to Selma is 30 miles. From Raleigh to Shotwell, where I live, is 14 miles also. And then when I'm at home, it's like a crazy triangle. Yeah. I haven't went from Wake Forest to Selma before, but
I don't think I haven't done the Selma store. Maybe I'll tick that one off when I'm over next time.
It's growing. I'll be glad when people go from Miami to New York, but I guess they're going from Georgia to Virginia. Let's see.
Maybe.
Oh, that one. Good morning, Stephen. Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
In the US, 17 seconds. Were they really? Well, I didn't know that, Steve. That's a cool fact. Actually, the funny thing is that Happily Ever After is the last thing that you'd think of if you played the album Faith. I mean, that is gloomy with a capital F. It's really, really gloomy. Proper goth central, that is. And in fact, I'm pretty sure when that album was released, because people had liked 17 Seconds and found it sort of uplifting in a sort of, nice, way, Faith was proper big downbeat, and people didn't like it. They were like, "Oh, you've sold out. You've changed your sound. We don't like it."
World's coming to an end.
It would be a strange double album to put them two together, I think.
Yeah, Cosmic Messenger is a great album. That's the Jean-Luc Ponty, right, Chris?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the tip off. I'm going to check that out.
Yes, and Kurt's getting ready to pop into the chat. Good morning, Kurt. Thanks for joining us. Simon is with us from the UK.
Oh. Shall I do another one? Good morning. This then is another great record. I like the Smiths a lot. I've got all of their records and quite a few of the singles, but this sort of collection, which I suppose was a bunch of singles all wrapped together. Again, I remember getting this. I bought this at Christmas as well, and I'm sure my parents had dragged me to. I don't know where we were. We were away. I don't know why we were away that Christmas. Anyway, there was a record store and they had this, and I was determined to get it for Christmas, so I did. And an excellent record. There's just so many great tracks on here, and again, I don't even know what year this was.
80.
God, I can't think, but that photograph tells you how young they all are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's pretty early on.
Yes.
In the proceedings. So often there's a date on the back of these, but not on this one. There isn't. I don't know when the. Anyway, I came with a little lyric sheet and various things. So yeah, great record. And I don't know, the Smiths were just. I don't know. They hit a real. They managed to press hard on a vibe, a sort of public, a certain sort of consciousness, a certain sort of awareness of. I don't know. It was about cities. It was about resentment. It was about young and. What are we talking? Late 80s, I suppose. It's the reaction to Thatcherism. It's the sort of crazy. There was a sort of like a financial sort of boom time, I suppose. But it was a certain sort of person that made good, and the rest of a lot of people felt left behind by it. So a lot of the Smiths' music was born out of that era, and certainly out of the north of England, Manchester. So I liked it.
There you go, Stephen. Remember that Three Imaginary Boys was released in the United States as Boys Don't Cry, had a different feel to it.
It did.
Yeah. My biggest regret was skipping out an opportunity to see the Smiths in Denver.
I never saw them live. No, they weren't around very long, really. They were all done and dusted inside of, 5 years or less than a decade, anyway.
Yeah. Not so much anymore, but for decades, a lot of people call that Smiths album hateful.
Indeed. Yeah, you can see why. Just the way the lettering goes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I always need to ask them to reread the title. Yeah.
Nothing hateful about that record.
Very good. I don't mean to interrupt you, Simon, but what do I see over your shoulder? Is that a recording area?
Yeah. So I have a lot of records. Because I buy them from you. And I fill up my suitcase and I take them home. And I have a little radio sort of rig here. I've got a set of decks here. A little mixer. Oops, there it is. There's a decks. There's a mixer screen. And I put a sort of radio show together with just all the stuff I like. It's sort of indie bands, electronica. It's all quite ambient and easy going here. And it's called Groove Cafe. And thank you for the plug. Yeah, the shameless plug. So I time to time I put out a show. I only started doing it in lockdown. I've wanted to do it for 20 years plus more. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just do this. And so I took the plunge. And again, this is my hidey hole where I come to play some tracks and put down a show on Mixcloud. So
was it hard to get started with that? I'm sure a lot of people have a dream of, if I had a radio show, if I played a radio,
Yeah, it is. I guess it's like everything, isn't it? You know, the hardest step is the first one, and you just I don't know. I just felt I didn't want to do it unless I could do it well. I didn't want it to do it and it'd be crap, and I think, oh, that's just embarrassing. I didn't want it to be cringy. I wanted it to be at least decent, and I was only ever interested in one other person liking it, bar me. But actually, we've had 450 plays, I think, or something stupid across 8 shows. I was looking at the statistics the other night. We're pushing up to, was it 480? Yeah, 480. I think we're pushing up towards 500, which is amazing. And I've had loads of great messages. And I think it's what you just said, which is that people like the fact that you had a go, that you tried, that you gave it a go, and oh, good on you, well done you, you know, hats off, sort of thing. Lots of positive messages.
There you go. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. And so people,
bless you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this stuff gets played, and there's a lot of electronica too. And Morrissey and Kerr, what is your opinion of Morrissey and Johnny Marr's solo careers? Morrissey's a strange one, isn't he? I haven't tracked his solo career that much. I've got a couple of albums, whichever the one with Suede Head on it, I've got that. And I've got a greatest hits one as well, which trawls across a number. But he's made quite a few solo albums, so I can't say that I know them. The first one I think was good, and it had a strong echo of the Smiths. And little by little, it's deviated. But also, he's I don't know. The phrase we use over in England is he's vanished up his own backside. In other words, he's gone a bit odd, and he's got some rather strange points of view, and he started to express some rather odd political views, which people have found very alarming. He seems to be sort of posting sort of admiration for sort of right-wing sort of fascists and racists and things. He's done and said some very odd things of late. So he's a hard man. I mean, I thought he was brilliant in the Smiths. The idea that you could wear spectacles and wave gladiola, you know, flowers on stage and just try and be, you know, weirdly differently. I don't know. He's a different sort of front man for a band. It's sort of an artsy sort of front man. Love that. I
agree with you on his first record. His first record is like, wow. And
yeah, Stephen Street, wasn't he, produced it? And I think then he did another one with him, and then he didn't, and it didn't quite go as well. I felt.
I thought the first one was very strong. There's some good songs here and there, but as a whole, the first one is a really good record. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah,
Johnny Marr. I've got the first, but not the second. I thought the first was very good. I liked it very much. I like Newtown Velocity, which is a great track, and I can't remember what it's called, that album, but I do have it. Yeah, Johnny Marr's just a bit of a cool cat, isn't he, these days? He struts around Manchester. He crops up all over the place, you know, jamming. And whereas Morrissey's gone very odd and weird, Johnny Marr just seems to have turned into just like a great bloke, just a great guy.
Johnny Marr's like, oh my gosh, there's that guy who made that wonderful guitar sound. He's the guy that, you know.
And it's still a great guitar sound. It's got that jangly sort of upbeat quality, lots of detail, really intricate, and yet, I don't know, no one really plays like Johnny Marr. So he continues to be quite original, I think.
And I'm really happy that he continues to perform Smith songs when he plays live.
He does. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Stephen loves making radio shows. Good for you, sir. I like you. I'm new into it. The nastiest thing to work out on the radio thing, just by the way, was the legalities of playing copyrighted music. And that's why I'd use Mixcloud, because I pay my royalties direct to Mixcloud effectively, so that I can play any track.
Oh wow! Is that it?
Otherwise, you can't just play. I can't play this album, even though it's a brilliant album, which is my next one I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because Kate Bush would demand a royalty from me.
Yes.
Rightly so. So it's not my work. And so the problem you always have is if you're going to do a radio show that features music, how are you covered off legally?
That's true.
And I had to look into that for quite a long time. It took me a year or two actually to sort of get to the bottom of it. So yeah, so Mixcloud was how I solved it. I keep going the wrong way with this. This is my next offering. And sorry, it's a bit glary.
Yeah.
I know why. Let's play with the lights. There we are. Anyway, Kate Bush's first album. There we are. Find me now. Kick Inside. Brilliant record. Kate Bush, wasn't she just amazing? So young as well. I mean, she was only 16 when she wrote The Man with the Child in His Eyes. 16, for God's sake. And then she was only 20 when this came out. And she was a lovely looking woman too, which didn't hurt, especially if you were like a teenage lad. likes music. And then she was such a weird performer on stage, so sort of expressive and weird, and she danced and moved in ways almost like a ballet sort of dancer. She was an all-round strange character, really. And she had a very much a Bowie-esque quality, I felt, in the way that she does stories and mime and movement, and she was trying to create this sort of feeling and this image of herself. I don't know, quite a woman, and of course she's gone on to be, utterly brilliant. She must be pushing what? She must be 60 odd now, I'd have thought.
Probably so. Yeah. I like Kate.
She was 20 in 1980, so she must be. So yeah, and she's sort of secretive, and she's sort of, you don't know a lot about her. She's very private, and then she'll come out and she'll release a double album, and it's an amazing. And you think, God, what's Kate Bush been doing for the last 3 years? And she just bang, out comes a record. Amazing woman. But that's a fine record.
I just followed Lumix Cloud. My shows.
Bless you, sir. Thank you. Oh, that's very kind. I didn't expect any of this shameless plugging, Adam, but thank you for this.
Stephen, be sure. Well, I want other people to know how cool your show is. Stephen, be sure to post a link to your StreamYard.
Yeah, too right. Well, I'll be able to follow you back, but other people won't.
Yeah.
I guess I should keep cracking on here. This.
Please do.
This is my. I've got the album right. Yeah. This is my 1971 really beaten up copy of Hunky Dory. It wasn't my first record. In fact, it was given to me by someone who obviously bought it 3 or 4 years prior. I went to a boarding school. I was sent away to school. My father was in the army, so we were always on the move. At the age of 11, off I went. And then when you went to a boys' boarding school in those days, certainly in England, it was quite tribal. Depending which boarding house you were in, had a very different taste in music. And thank God I ended up in this one place. And they were hugely into Bowie and the Sex Pistols and all that sort of indie stuff. Another boarding house was into like Genesis and all that sort of prog rock stuff, which frankly I've never found any liking for it really. But Bowie for me, I just tuned in and thought, whoa, who's this guy? And yeah, someone I think at school must have given me this. I still have it, and it's beaten up and it's falling apart. The whole thing's coming apart. Although it has got the lyric sheet, which is nice. Yeah, it's got the lyric sheet, and it is an RCA Victor, so it's got the orange disc in the middle, and it's probably worth peanuts, and it's scratched to hell, but it's probably my favorite record.
Oh, that's cool.
And he just is the maestro, just is a musical god in my view. And for many years I played and thought nothing but Bowie. I don't know. He was so interesting in the 70s. Every time he turned up, he was someone different. Making a slightly different sound, still had something interesting to say. I loved all that. Just storytelling, if you like, narratives and moods. And I bought Bowie after Bowie after Bowie. So this is another RCA Victor, so it's got the old yellow. Yeah. So it's an original.
Sorry, Johnny Moore is a huge Burt Jansch fan, and both are unique. And
from work, they must know I'm on holiday. So this is my Diamond Dogs. They stopped making the double cover after a while because it was too expensive, and I've got mine.
Oh wow!
They used to have it on a single copy, but there was originally a middle with the poem in it. This where is it over there?
Wow!
The Future Legend. He always reads that out.
Can you show us the back?
I can. So yeah, there was another thing actually about when you open it right up. Let me just try and get this squared off because I can't quite see what I'm doing really. There we are. So Harry, the record company were very, very concerned about the dog's testicles, and so the artwork had to go through numerous versions so that they could take out or airbrush out what would have been the dog's nuts. Which I imagine he would have laughed his head off at. It was a very funny idea of somebody spray painting the Bowie's nuts out so that no one could see him.
And it's always the story of like, oh, this record, there's a copy of this record. Yeah.
Very funny. Yeah, and then obviously Ziggy Stardust, and I mean I had them all. I mean I think I've got 18 Bowie albums on vinyl. This is my dog-eared, and I didn't know this, but a mouse got at mine. Can you see? Hang on, you see it's been nibbled on the end.
It has good taste.
Good taste. I had to at some point. I must have stored them in the attic or something. Or we know when vinyl was sort of a lot of my vinyl buying was I was like mid 70s to mid 80s, I guess. So I would be 10 to 20 years old. And then CDs came in, and vinyl was sort of hard to buy, and then it was impossible to buy until what, 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And suddenly, so I've got like two distinct vinyl buying eras: old stuff, and some of it's a bit beaten up, and it's almost all Bowie. And then new stuff. And speaking of new stuff, the fantastic thing about the new stuff is have you got this?
I don't have it, but I've sold it.
Yeah, God, what a thing this is! I mean, it's a beautiful object. I mean, just as for people who you've got this amazing artwork, and it folds out again, by the way. Hang on. Oh.
Good morning, Salvage. Thank you so much for joining us. And not only did Bowie change his sound, but he also changed his appearance. And
oh, he did. He really did. But I love. He was amazing. He was just extraordinary. And I mean, this incredible detail you get, all these beautiful sort of artwork, and I don't know. New vinyl is a beautiful thing. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely thing. But even though the poor he's gone to a better place, you can still get fantastic quality Bowie vinyl, which trumps a lot of the crappy Bowie vinyl that I've worn out from the 70s, because I must have played it to death.
Yeah. So here in the States, Simon, we continued. When I would go to the record store, I still would see new pressings, but it was mostly from the UK. And
really, yeah.
And wow, that's so cool. And of course, I couldn't afford anything back then. I always went over to the used section, like, oh, I can get this record I've always wanted for $2 or something like that. But it was good to see it. So I just naturally thought that there was a lot of vinyl that was being pressed in the UK during that 90s, 2000 period.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it was just that the popularity of CDs just shot up, and vinyl just became a little hard to come by. And then when you did, it was expensive. Yeah, I think that was it. And it fell out of favor, didn't it? It wasn't.
And in the States, there was 7-inch punk rock records, 7-inch independent stuff, and then and of course DJs, hip hop. Yeah. That just kept the presses busy in America because there was tons.
Yeah, we weren't quite as into that scene as you guys, so I guess the record plants closed, and I don't know. It was a bit of a changing of the guard. People got CD mad. Hey, Chris.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. Have fun at your meeting. See you soon. Tomorrow, Alan C. Records is with us, and
that'll be a good meeting.
Have more fun.
So, in honor of the fact that we're talking to primarily an American audience, I thought I'd go with this. ZZ Top are one of my favorite bands. I don't know how I found them, actually. I think a friend of a friend of a friend sort of put me onto them in, I don't know, I think it was the mid 70s even. So I remember I've had a copy of Fandango since ever, and Rio Grande Mud and Tres Hombres. I had De Guello on tape and Tejas on tape. And then this came out in '83, and I was just looking at this earlier. This is in '83, so this is the first year it came out, and I know I got mine. I know in the UK what happened was this charted. I ran off and bought my copy, and then nothing really happened. And then much later in 1983, somehow it seemed to have suddenly catch the public imagination. I thought it was brilliant from the moment I first heard it. Amazing record, and yeah, I mean, just. And then, of course, the videos and the beards and the custom car and no one knew how to say this in England. We all called it ZZ Top because no one knew how to say ZZ. Stupid. But that was the mid 80s for you. So 1983.
ZZ Top.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny?
That is.
But from that, they just, there was 12-inch after 12-inch after 12-inch after, I had them all just because they were brilliant. And I'd been into it such a long time. I thought, oh man, this is brilliant.
Can we see that TV Dinners 12?
Go for it. Yeah.
Wow. And Cheap Sunglasses.
Cheap Sunglasses, which is off the previous album, De Guello, isn't it? It's
That is awesome. I've never seen that 12, but I remember that crazy video. Oh my stars, that video was crazy.
Yeah, well, they just, I don't know. I think because I guess MTV was just getting into MTV hadn't been out that long, had it? I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Cheers, Kurt. Yeah, that, suddenly, oh, so look, there's got the tour dates on the back.
Oh, let's go see him.
Hammersmith Odeon in London on the 28th of November. So I just, yeah, I mean, they were huge, and I guess the videos were just very impactful and very cool. But interestingly, on this one here, which is "Give Me All Your Lovin'," Jesus Just Left Chicago. That's off an old album. "Arrested for Driving While Blind" and "Heard It on the X" is really old. That's on Tres Hombres, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And "Arrested for Driving While Blind" is De Guerra, and "Jesus Just Left Chicago." Again, that's old.
That's awesome.
And he's driving to New Orleans. I don't know when that one's from, but again, that must be 2 or 3 albums prior to Eliminator.
Hey, good morning, Russell.
Good morning.
Thank you this morning. Simon is with us today. Yeah. Zigzag Roll Top Rolling Papers is where their name come from. I did not know that.
Right? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a mine of information you are.
Love that.
Gotta love a good easy top.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Star Picker. How are you? Thanks for joining us this morning. One of the main guys lives in my neighborhood of my sister near Houston. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's their stomping ground. Well, was Gibbons not? I think Gibbons was once described by Hendrix as the best young guitarist in the States. This is the year before he died. Yeah, Gibbons is offered up by Hendrix as one of the finest guitarists, and he can play a bit. That guy, my God, he really can.
Absolutely.
So this is a bit more local to me. This is Joy Division. I have all the Joy Division records, and I always did, even at the time. God, I don't know. There was something dark and menacing and industrial about the sound they made, and the sort of articulate lyrics. They were slightly gloomy and downbeat, and I don't know. Not everyone's cup of tea, I guess, but I, for one, thought they were amazing. Absolutely amazing band. And then, of course, they were cemented in sort of history by Ian Curtis committed suicide. He was 23, and they were on the brink of a US tour and on the brink of their second album, which must have been closer. Yeah, and he committed suicide. Anything else?
Did you ever see Joy Division, or I know you've seen New Order?
I have. I've seen lots of bands, and of course these are all sort of Manchester bands. They're not too hard for me to see, but no, they were done and gone quite quickly. Really, he was dead by. I think, in fact, it's the 40th year anniversary of his death, so he must have died in 1980.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow.
So, he was so young, and then when you look at what he had to say, my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good morning, Records. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, Simon. Cheers.
Cheers. And I like the way they did this. It was so stylistic, so stylized, and the print on these, and just the way it's done. Very clever, very, very clever stuff. So that's Joy Division, who I also adore. Oh gosh, thanks.
Here's an easy top comment. Top
comes from Hal. On top of their zigzag papers, oh right.
Oh boy, I love ZZ Top so much.
Oh dear, that's funny.
Okay,
well, let's not go too much into what they put on their papers, but let's imagine it was a little bit. This is my next choice. Funny enough, I've got all the Ramones albums. Well, I haven't got all the Ramones albums. I've got all of the early albums. And yet, if you heard them, you'd think, oh, they're a nice band. Sheena is a punk rocker. Sheena is a punk rocker. And then you hear it live, and it's like nothing else. It's like, wow, it's 1,000 miles an hour. It's grunge, feedback, noise. It's furious pace, and it's loud. It's really, really loud. So, in my view, the Ramones, this album by the Ramones is the only way to hear the Ramones, and you have to play it loud enough that your ears bleed, and then you'll get the full effect.
That's right. And of course, how many songs can they play at a show?
Oh, so I had a car. I had a Volkswagen Passat, And the Germans who made it, they simply had never imagined that a CD player would need to play more than 25 tracks on a single CD. This is 28. And it's an hour and 3 minutes or something.
Something's wrong with my car. My CD player only
I could never play the last 3 or 4 tracks off this album in that car because it just couldn't recognize them. It had no concept of a track being that small.
Oh my!
You can knock one of these out in 2 minutes dead. Yeah, the person who's just commented is quite right. They are all dead now, sadly. And in fact, a couple of them have died, and the surviving members rather hilariously formed a band called The Remains, and they went on tour, which I thought was a very funny joke. The Remains, but that for me is really iconically the ripped jeans, the hair, I don't know, something about it. Absolutely.
Oh, the guitar to your knees, that, yeah. And it was awesome.
It's just superb stuff. And if you've never heard this album, you'd think the Ramones were quite a tame outfit.
Yeah, I think when I saw them, their popularity was this much compared to now, and probably same for you. I mean, like, I went there, the place was full. It wasn't packed, but it was full, and they used to play this little club down in Wilmington, which is close to the beach. And what was it, 300, 400 people? But if they were today, whoa, watch out.
Yeah. I got a book for Christmas one year, and it was about the guy who was their tour manager. And I can't remember his first name, but it's Melnick is his surname. Larry or something like that. And but it's all by him. They toured prolifically, and I think they famously played something more than 2,500 shows. They are the most toured band sort of ever, an insane number of shows. But they never made any money off punk. All the money was made in Europe by British bands. It's like the Ramones came over here, and I remember this because I missed being able to go and see them because I was at school, at my boarding school, and they wouldn't let. They'd let certain year groups could go to this gig, and if you were under, you couldn't. And we were the year under. We were not allowed to go. But the year above were allowed to go, and they came back and they were mad on the Ramones.
Oh, good.
We were like, oh, yeah, we really felt we'd missed out. But then they went back to the States where punk never really took off, not in the way it did over here. And then the Clash and all the other bands came in, made all the money, and no one paid the Ramones anything for their genius. So they had to tour. That's the only way they made any income.
Wow. And now
apparently,
their logo, their image is just so iconic.
It is. They're just mega. And every boy in my house, all 3 of them have a CD copy of that album because I made sure they were given it. I think my eldest had it for his 6th birthday. I gave him and said, "Dude, you need this."
Thanks, Dad.
Made him listen to it.
My dad gave me a punk rock CD. He's so cool.
Exactly. My dad wants me to listen to this awful punk rubbish. This is another fine band. So this is Cocteau Twins, and this is the album Head Over Heels. And I guess I first heard this on a famous DJ called John Peel over here, was a champion of sort of interesting, different avant-garde sort of music, if you like. And I heard Musette and Drums on his radio show one night, and I thought, whoa, I got to have this. And, the cover was weird, the photography was weird. You didn't know a lot about the band. She sang in riddles. Rather nice insert, actually. This, with a little sort of scribble on it, and on the other side as well. This sort of very dreamy, I don't know, well, not dreamy, this album's a little bit more heavy on the drums and the production, but there's no question her voice comes through this clear as day, and wow, what a voice, a voice sent from heaven in my view. And I love their music. I have everything they've ever done, all the 12 inches, all the albums.
Absolutely. And we've talked about how you've seen Liz perform live.
Yeah. And she did the Mezzanine Massive Attack tour, the 20th anniversary tour. She came along and she sang Teardrop, and is it Black Milk, the other one? Either way. And she was on stage. I was like, oh, I thought it was amazing. Yeah. Wow. She is just extraordinary. So Cocteau Twins, again, so this is harking back to my sort of 80s vinyl phase. And there's a whole bunch of these. This is a great record. There was Simple Minds, before they became a sort of stadium sort of cheese band, in my view, did a lot of really cool and interesting work in the early 80s. I like Sister Feelings Call. I like this album, New Gold Dream, and Sparkle in the Rain. And those three for me are the best Simple Minds albums. Everything else is a bit rubbish. I think after that, when you get to Alive and Kicking and Beyond, it all fell apart in my view. And I just think they became a bit of a caricature. But before that, they were really interesting. They were quite innovative. They had one foot in the nightclubs. They used to do these cool 12-inch singles, I Travel, and what the hell's the other one called? Can't think of its name right now, but there was some sort of really pulsing, sort of interesting sort of dance 12 inches they made. Yeah, I thought they were cool, but this, I think, is a brilliant record. Brilliant record. Do you know it, Adam?
Oh, absolutely. I have that record in my library. And
Good man.
So I think about Simple Minds pre and post MTV. And
yes.
And so, yeah. Wow.
So this is my original copy from God knows when it was, 82 or something. Fabulous record in my view. Still, if you play it today, it still stands up. It's still think,
oh yeah,
that hasn't dated at all, really. It's really very strong.
Yeah, and I discovered their more popular stuff first before I found that, and I was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think their early 80s work was really, really interesting and innovative, and I don't know, a bit spiky, had something to say. And another belter, as I would say in England. I like a bit of Supertramp, but they've been around for a while. But this, I don't know, this is an outstanding piece of work. I mean, I play this album not frequently, but probably once a month or something. And I don't get bored of it. I don't get tired of it. I think it's very clever. I think even the artwork's clever. I love the idea of, she's the Statue of Liberty, and all of the salt and pepper pots and the cereal packets are all the is the New York skyline made out of breakfast bits and pieces, condiments, and this is very clever.
Yeah. Well, what was it like when it was released in the UK? Breakfast in America? How can they do that? What was the thought?
Well, all I can tell you, Adam, it was huge. I mean, they were on the radio, they were on top of the pop, they were on all the TV shows. This record was a monster record. But I think you got to remember, this is when, this is 79. In a pre-internet age, all your information about America was informed by TV. So what you knew about New York was Kojak.
Okay. Yeah.
What you knew about Chicago was Hill Street Blues. That's how it was, because there was no other. What were the other sources?
Yeah.
You knew nothing other than sort of gossip and chit chat and something in the newspapers or a magazine. You couldn't easily understand the States, and so then when this came out, people just I don't know. It added, I think, to the mystique of the States. And it's a fine record. I think all the way through, it's shot through with lots of great songs. This one has. This one has a lyric sheet, I think, doesn't it? Oh no, it's all on the. It's all on the. Because it's meant to look like a menu, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's got all the lyrics on the back. So I think it's a great record, and
it's the record, like Anthony said. I'm sorry. Thank you, Anthony. Great art. I agree with you. But like Mike says, one of my favorite album openers of all on that Supertramp LP. It's like. You turn up the volume. Next thing, I love it too. Yeah,
it's very, very, very good indeed. And I don't think they ever hit the dizzy heights quite as good as high as this. I think they tried, but that for me was their finest record. Here's another great record from the mid '70s, late '70s. ELO, Out of the Blue, the old double gatefold. Hang on, there we are. There's the full spaceship.
Yes.
And then in here, in this copy, they have the all the lyrics on these sheets, and I'm pretty sure there's a poster in here. At least there was. Did I have a poster? I could have sworn I had a poster somewhere. I thought I did. Maybe I don't anymore. I'm pretty sure one of these ELO records has a poster.
Sometimes with that record, there was a little spaceship thing you could almost put together.
Yes, I never had one of those, sadly.
And then sometimes that was pressed on blue vinyl.
Not this one. No, this is black. This is on Jet Records. So this is funny enough, I thought there was a poster with that, but I must be mistaken. So anyway, again, Mr. Blue Sky and Wild West Hero and ELO were very cool, weren't they? And I see Jeff Lynne has re-recorded. Hasn't he not re-recorded this album?
He did.
It's now Jeff Lynne's ELO.
I know.
So that he doesn't have to pay the royalties to the original band members.
Yes, yes.
What a bloody cheapskate, silly song.
Oh,
I don't know.
I like that bloody cheapskate. There you go.
I don't like that.
Oh,
so that offends my British sense of fair play. That's just not on.
there you
go. This is a favourite of mine. I don't have a lot of John Lennon. I have some Beatles. I guess I was born in '65, so the Beatles were, by the mid-'70s, the Beatles were probably a little bit old hat, and people hadn't started to reflect on how good they really were. Lennon was doing some interesting work, I always thought, and George Harrison, and I've got a few albums of his, and All Things Must Pass, of course, is a fabulous record. But this one, I guess, is not. I don't know. Maybe people do know this, but I love this compilation of Lennon, Give Peace a Chance, and Mother, and Imagine, and Mind Games, and Number 9 Dream, and all that. So I don't know, and I like the artwork too. I like the sort of slightly Japanesey, Yoko Ono, I suppose, influenced art on it. I just think it's a great record. It's just shot through with great tracks. So I thought I quite like the you get the Japanese flag on the sleeve with the lyrics. So I thought that was worth flashing on camera for you.
Absolutely. Number 9 Dream, my favorite Lennon song.
I think it's a wonderful song, that, and it's almost like a crime that it's not played enough. It's
yes, I agree.
He had so much to say about the human condition and the world we live in.
Absolutely. Everybody knows that song today.
I don't know if anyone knows the Thomas Dolby very much, but sorry, I'll just do that.
Yeah, Aliens Ate My Brain. But
I do love this album title. I just thought, given it Aliens Ate My Buick, I just think that's a fabulous name. I just thought, as an American audience, you might appreciate how the ludicrous foolishness of that. And
I love it. Yeah,
isn't that? It's so silly. It's so silly. And I think Adam, his father is something to do with Dolby systems, as in Dolby tape cassette noise reduction.
Right, I've read that also.
Yeah, so I think he was born into a sort of musically techie household. It's a fun record. I don't play it a whole lot, but I thought the title at least would make some of your.
So Tom, I imagine Thomas growing up, and unlike you got an ABBA record for Christmas. He got a synthesizer.
He probably did. He got an electronics set or something. He was making his own radio or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few more. I'll take this out of its cover because the cover is all ripped and falling apart. But this is an album I'd highly recommend if you didn't have it already. Oops, sorry. There we go. So this is Propaganda. Weird, sort of slightly Germanic sound. It was on the ZTT record label, which is the sort of Frankie Goes to Hollywood label. And sort of art pop, I suppose you'd call it, but with a sort of I don't know, a melancholy undertone, I suppose you'd call it. Anyway, I like this record very much indeed, and it really stands up well if you play it now. The production was very, very good on it. It is sort of electronic, but it has got a sort of broody darkness to it, which I was always drawn to. So, Golden Age was the first. Correctamundo, Stephen. Yes, absolutely got that. And I think I've got all Thomas Dolby's records. They were always quite quirky and interesting. The Flat Earth I liked, and I liked Astronauts and Heretics as well, which I liked as well. But yeah, Propaganda. Is this A Secret Wish by Propaganda? Fine record. I think I've seen it. I think I've seen a copy in store, Adam. I know you've had one in at times. Oops, all right, let's just turn that right way up so you can see. But yeah, interesting band, I think. Yeah, I'm always a fan of that. I thought I'd bring this along. This is a Muse. Now, I think Muse have gone a little bit past their best by probably a good 2 albums, if not 3. But I think this is the last good album they did. And my kids bought me this for Christmas. And I guess when would this be? Whenever it was, it would be. Hang on, it says on the back probably 2009. Okay, so this is coming up. This is basically a decade ago. And so, yeah, so Harry would have been 13 and his younger brother would be 10. And what they didn't know is because they were going through Claudia Brooken. Good spot. Yes, she has got a super voice. They bought this for me for Christmas because they knew I liked Muse, but they liked Muse a lot as well. And they were also doing like a School of Rock thing, like a guitar thing that they were doing at the time. So every Sunday they'd go off and learn to play guitar. And the bloke who taught them was into heavy rock. So they'd come back and I'd say, "What have you done today, kids?" And they go, "Megadeth." So you're only 10. The guy would teach them all sorts, and they were doing Seven Nation Army, they were doing Metallica, they were doing Enter Sandman by Metallica. He was teaching them all sorts. So they got into Muse, and who I liked. They bought me this for Christmas, but what they didn't know was I already had tickets to take us all to go and see Muse live, playing this record in Liverpool, and I think it was the March of that year. So they gave this to me for Christmas, and I gave them concert tickets to go and see the band.
Wow.
For the same Christmas. And they were there, but we were all crazy. We played this album all the time. And yeah, it's a great record. Yeah, and it's a nice thing actually, a nice sort of details in it. And I guess, you know, this is new modern vinyl at its finest, isn't it? It's all just me dropping it. But you know what I mean? It's the way it's packaged and presented is so smart. So yeah. Love it to bits.
Good morning, Donald. Thanks for joining us. I don't have much coffee left, but
that's a fact I didn't know. Thomas don't we make keyboards on Foreigner?
Thomas contributed to a lot of records out there.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
He's a talented geezer, isn't he? He's a talented fella.
Minor note readers, but yes, he sure did.
Just in the interest of time, Adam, I thought I'd let's this is a new one that I've bought the other day, not from you sadly, but from my local record store. It's a bit glary, sorry, because of the way this is presented, but this is a Swedish band called Lycanthropy. Sorry for the funny writing, but it's so lycanthropy is the it means turning into a werewolf. It's the medical condition by which you turn into a werewolf, and so this is the Swedish spelling of lycanthropy, Tropi, and lycanthropy with a K, and they're like a Swedish 70s style not psychological, I don't know what you call it really, but it's like folksy art rock, I suppose you'd call it. And they sing songs about wolves and forests and dark things. It's like Little Red Riding Hood set to music, I suppose. But what a fabulous record this is. And yeah, I can highly recommend Lycanthropy to anyone out there who, I mean, I like it. I like a bit of 70s guitar, and it definitely has a foot in the past, this, in the way it's made. But it's fresh and it's cool. There's a lot of female voices on it. It's a fine record. And yeah,
what's the name of the record?
So the album is called Lycanthropy, the same as the artist name. Hang on, sorry.
That.
Lykanthropi. Lycanthropi.
Sounds like a wild weed that grows in North Carolina.
Yeah, so it's a fun record, and a lot of people I've played this to have gone, "My God, that's really good. Where are they from?" And it's like, well, this is their debut album, and they're a Swedish folk art rock group out of I'm not quite sure where in Sweden they are, but you can tell they spend a lot of time in the countryside and then in a log cabin writing this stuff.
Very cool. Yeah,
it's very cool, and go check it out. It's actually a really strong record. That's the fella. Yeah, that's the one.
Put their name in the chat, so if you want to check them out, folks, on YouTube.
I sort of half mentioned this earlier. So this is, and it's still got the sort of cover sort of things on it. That's why the little stickers on it. So this is the 20th anniversary Massive Attack Mezzanine album. We talked about it when we mentioned Elizabeth Fraser earlier, and she was awesome when they performed it live. It was very, very good indeed. But tell you what, I've got quite a few Massive Attack records. In fact, I think I've got them all. Protection's amazing. This is very, very good. 100th Window is excellent. And I'm missing one. There's another one I've got, which is, and they're all fantastic and quirky and fun. Hemlock Lady Mercantile. What a marvelous name.
Good morning, Timmy. Cheers. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm
But
fascinated with the little price sticker that's in the top right corner, Simon.
yeah, that's £24.99. It was a. Oop, go on, find it. There you are. Camera's found it finally.
I
Yeah.
love that.
So yeah, but what a great record, and yeah, it had all this sort of interesting artwork inside it, and they did some extra packaging for it, and I don't think it was on anything sort of funky color-wise, but it's still no, just regular black vinyl. But yeah, brilliant record. I have to say, I think most of what Massive Attack do is pretty amazing, actually. I find myself drawn to it time and time again, and it doesn't lose interest from me. It's very detailed and quirky music. So,
and I like the way they honor the Cure in their music.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do. In fact, they did when we were. They actually played that little segment at the concert, which is sort of quite.
Oh, you lucky dog. Hey, thanks everybody for joining this morning. Our guest today is Simon. Simon's in the UK, and he's sharing a lot of cool things. I met Simon because his company is in my area, and Simon comes over to the States a few times a month. And of course, he's on hold right now with the pandemic, but he's looking forward. I'm looking forward to him coming back, and so I'm going to ask him to bring me some records. I'm going to ask him to go to the dollar bins or the pound bins and get all the Cure and the Touch Mode and all that cool stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and thanks for sharing with us today, Simon. Okay, what's next?
It's been a blast. It's been great fun, and yeah. Who doesn't love talking about vinyl? I mean, come on.
I'm sure we have 100 more to show, but can you share just a few more?
Oh yeah, I've got a few more. I've got a couple more. I don't have a lot more. Yeah, let me just. Yeah, I got 3 more. So this is Hello, Hemlock Lady Mercantile. I'm sure you weren't christened that. Very nice to meet you virtually. This is an awesome record. Again, I guess, Adam, this is the thing about new vinyl. You know, when this first came out, you could only get it on CD. So this is the band 07. It's the album Simple Things. It's sort of ambient electronica. It's just beautifully written, well crafted, beautiful performances. It sort of slips past. There's a couple of cracking tunes in it. I think Sia, when she was very young, performed on this record, and the next one that comes after it, which is called When It Falls. And those 2 albums were just glorious, and they really showcased her abilities, and quite a few other artists as well. But as a body of work, it's a real Sunday morning, you know, sit down with a newspaper and just let an hour and a half slip past listening to this. It's very melodic, and it's beautiful. And so this is like a 20th anniversary, whatever, repress, and yeah, and it's just lovely now to have a copy of this album, you know, in this sort of crisp sort of packaging, and all the lyrics finally. CDs were great, but of course you didn't get all this fine detail previously, and now you do. You can really enjoy an old record and watch it live.
Who was the artist?
This is 07 is the artist.
Oh yes. Which you turn on to me, and I've listened to them online.
Yeah, and this is the album Simple Things, which was their debut album, and it's fabulous. Really great record. That's a Sunday morning well spent, in my view. So, sensational, the Sunday Times. And one of the most accomplished and refreshing albums of the year by NME. That was the New Music Express. That's the sort of primary sort of British music press. So, you know, it was.
Simon, Kent has a question for you.
What turntable do I use? It's not. It's nothing very fancy, I'm afraid. I've got. I never know how to say it. Is it Teak? T-E-A-C? TEAC? I think it's a TEAC 300. This is the funny thing. For a long time, I didn't have a turntable. All I had was lots of discs and vinyl. And of course, I had an iPod quite early on as well. I was quite an early adopter of that. So a lot of my primary focus was on music I could load into it digitally. And so CD was the way. And then, of course, we all got very excited about vinyl. And I actually got a turntable for my 50th birthday, which was 5 years ago. So nothing massively expensive, and nothing very fancy, I'm afraid. But it allowed me to rediscover all my old vinyl and to go crazy in Adam's shop and other shops buying lots of new vinyl. And I've bought, I don't know, dozens and dozens of records over the last couple of years, you know, and enjoyed playing. Just the experience. Even my kids are like, oh, this vinyl thing's really cool, isn't it? You have to turn it over and you put the needle on, and you get all this lovely stuff to read.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what we, you know.
And you found a vintage console that you repurposed and brought back to life.
I did. Yeah, that's one thing I did do. We over here we have this idea of something called a radiogram. It was a bit like something your parents might have owned, a bloody big piece of wooden furniture, like a cabinet with speakers built into it and a radio built into it, and then some sort of drop-down flap or something, or a lift-up lid, and inside would be a turntable.
Yeah.
And over here they were called radiograms, and they were very popular in the sort of late 50s, 60s. But and in those days, a piece of equipment like a record player was a piece of furniture, and right into the 70s, and only then when the sort of Japanese Sonys and the Technics got involved, did they miniaturize it that you could just pop it on a tabletop. But these old pieces of furniture now, no one wants them. But I did, and I went and bought myself a Blaupunkt one. It's called a Arkansas Deluxe. And it's fabulous. It's got a drinks cabinet. You open the door, the light goes on. It's got a little mirrored surface for your drinks, and on the right is where your records go, and above that is where the radio goes on. Yeah. And when I turn it on, it sort of glows in the dark, quietly.
I should have grabbed one of the images of yours off Instagram, but I'm going to explain a little bit. In America, we had the ones that were wider and they were lower, and they were more like a credenza, a piece of furniture. Okay. Imagine a not as tall dresser.
Yes.
But in Germany, in Europe, they had the ones that weren't as wide, but they were taller.
Exactly.
They were more like a buffet height, and then you pull the record player down.
Yeah, you drop down a shelf or open a door, or you'd lift up a lid.
Yeah,
but it was all mounted inside.
I've seen some that have the bars. You slide the door, and then the bar rotates out.
Yeah.
And so, if you ever see those folks in the Blaupunkts, they were beautiful. They were glossy and
very glossy. Actually, the Blaupunkt ones, I like them a lot.
Ones in America, because of the door that fell down like a bread box, it allowed it not to be as deep. In America, they were like,
massive. Yeah, but you can pick them up for a song. I mean, no one wants them because they're far too big. And so I got this beautiful thing. I mean, it's absolutely pristine. It was a mint condition, not a blemish on it. And I paid £60 on eBay for it. I had to drive 50 miles to collect it, and my wife and I could barely lift it up. It was so heavy. The construction was so solid. But yeah, and so I got this beautiful thing, and I've just got a small stereo that sits in it, and my record player sits on top. I hollowed out the speakers and put some new ones in, and all for £60 and a little bit of TLC, and it looks and sounds amazing. So it's great fun.
Hemplock Lady T asks, "What's your channel? YouTube channel? What's your YouTube channel, Simon?"
I don't really have a YouTube channel. I have as you know, Adam, I have this radio thing I do, which is like as a hobbyist really on Mixcloud, and so I know you put it in you're ahead of me. So that's my little radio station, but I don't have any sort of YouTube. I'm not worth following on that channel because I have nothing really to offer.
But you don't have any content yet, but maybe sometimes you can do things like show us records, show us your hi-fi and things like that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And I guess I never considered that anyone would find it interesting by me. But,
of course, we can't play the music, but
no.
And Simon, if you ever get that video uploaded, let me know. I'll share it with everyone.
I will. Yeah, thank you. I will. Got time for a couple more, or no?
Yeah, just 1 second. Let's get caught up on the.
Oh, you got messages.
Kent was saying a lot of those were tube.
They were.
And especially the Blaupunkt and
they are.
Some of those other German names. Carson, thanks for joining us. Good morning. You're late. I'm so sorry. We already spoke about Rush, and yes, so darn it, you have to watch the replay. Thomas, Prefab Sprout, very cool.
Gosh. Yeah, there you are. You see that he was obviously quite techie.
Yeah.
Thomas Dolby before he became a performer. Yeah, I know he had a Fairlight. He was one of the first people to own a Fairlight. The very original, super expensive synths, and it was
the most common Fairlight would be on 90125 or whatever the zip number is. I don't.
Yeah. No, you could be right with that.
Most common, most heard Fairlight.
Yeah. Gosh, dang.
All right, Simon. Here you go.
I got a couple left, and then I'm sort of out. There's plenty more in the house, but none here. This is an artist called Saint-Germain, and I don't know. And you have to say it in the French style because he is from France. He's made 3 albums, and they are all stunning. This one's a bit more world music. The other 2 are more electronica, sort of jazz-infused electronica, I suppose you'd call them. One is called Tourist, one is called Boulevard, and then this is this 3rd album, Saint-Germain. And this was an interval of 15 years between his 2nd album and his 3rd. And he toured this, and he came to Manchester, and I saw him. I took one of my boys with me. We both thought he was amazing. Clever guy. He uses a lot of samples and electronic stuff, but he surrounds himself with some terrific musicians, and he creates this really interesting, in this case, sort of a world music sound, but sort of fused with. So there's this sort of sand theme going on here, and you can see it's got some lyrics on it, and bits and pieces. But yeah, if it's an artist you don't know, I'd highly recommend checking out this gentleman, Saint-Germain, as in Paris Saint-Germain, the football team. It's the same spelling, and well worth wrapping your ears around. His first 2 albums are particularly good, I have to say. The album Tourist is off the charts good. Yeah, lots of jazz influences in that. So, but yeah, great listen, and yeah, what a guy. And then yeah, Jim,
Kent was referring to your console. Such great, rich sounds back then, before the earbud generation.
Yeah. One of the things I had to do with it, though, clearly you take a piece of furniture like that, and you want to sort of, if you want modernize the electronics. And I don't have a very fancy setup. I have a small Denon mini system powering the turntable and a couple of speakers. That's it. But clearly, the speakers that are in those radiograms are just old and tired, and they just don't. They have a warm sound, sure, but they got no volume. And so, yeah, I had to sort of screw them out, and I replaced them, and then I had to offer up a set of new speakers, but they had to be a certain shape and size to fit the aperture. So I had to go to a hi-fi shop and ask them for speakers of a certain dimension.
Yeah.
They said normally people come in here and they talk about price point or they talk about brand. Very few people come to us and say, have you got a speaker that's no wider than this? And I said, and I then had to explain the project. They were like, oh, right, okay. And they were fascinated by it. They really thought it was interesting. Yeah. So I did eventually get it solved. But yeah, that warm sound, yeah, I mean, a lot of that electronics was quite tired in the end. And when you buy them, they don't always work either. What I like to do is turn it on so it glows. And the radio's got that sort of lovely big dials and knobs and buttons, and it all glows quietly in the dark. And the speaker output area has a little sort of glowing light. It just sort of, in the wintertime with a glass of wine, you're all huddled up with the curtains closed. It's great, and it just feels warm and friendly, like an old friend,
Good morning, Sean. Now spinning TV. Sean's in Australia. Cheers.
No way.
I'm out. Sean was a guest a few weeks ago, and he shared a lot of wonderful.
Wow.
Simon is with us today from the UK.
Yeah.
And then Kent was saying surrounds would rot over time, and I would probably guess that your speakers had paper surrounds or cloth surrounds. If
on the front there was a cloth on the front, and what did you miss about Saint-Germain? Everything. Just how excellent he is. Yeah. What a great guy. Have you now? Seeing them live is not that easy because he didn't tour at all until this 3rd record. And actually, I've seen him twice doing this, and he's terrific. But yeah, what a guy! I didn't realize he'd made it all the way as far as Australia, so that speaks to his how far he's travelled musically. Oh, this is the last one I got, Adam. I hope you got time for this one, only because. So this is a beautiful record, and I wanted to show you just because it's the most artsy, most beautifully produced record packaging I can think of. This is the band Poolside out of Los Angeles, and they made 3 albums. Their 3rd one is not long out, and I've heard it, but I don't care for it. One of the key members had departed after the 2nd album, and I think the 3rd album has suffered for that. So the first 2 are brilliant. Pacific Standard Time is the first. It's pretty strong, and then this is called Heat. And I love this cover, and I just think it's really arresting. I love the visuals. And then if we just open it up, that's it there in the middle.
Oh, wow.
But where it really scores high is that when you pull out the so this is like it is a brilliantly named band, actually. This is an electronica. It does feel like you're sat on a poolside in Los Angeles somewhere or in California. And so here is the sort of inner sort of sleeve. But nothing quite prepares you for the color of the vinyl.
Beautiful.
So that's one of them. And so it looks amazing when you're playing it, and it sounds sort of sunny and uplifting and upbeat and full of fun. And the packaging, the cardboard is so thick. It's a beautifully produced thing. And then this, if you like, is the second one, because they split it over two pieces of vinyl, and that's the other one.
Wow, beautiful.
And so they've done a hell of a job on the packaging here. It's just a beautifully presented piece of work. Actually, it's a very fine record too. So that, if people don't know Poolside, I can highly recommend the album Heat. And
was that pressed in the UK or is it an American?
That's a really good question, actually, because I mean they're a band. They're not a very well-known band. I was surprised to even see this in the store. Frankly, I thought I was probably the only one. I'm the only person I know that has any clue who Poolside are, but maybe they are better known than I think. There's very little information on this, actually. Certainly on the outside. Let's have a look on one of the discs and see what it says. Poolside Music Inc. Made in USA, 2017. Oh, wow. So it was a hang on. There's a little bit of information here on the bottom corner. Oh, let's have a look here. It says.
Okay. Simon Harry loves glass. He loves American-made glass. He loves art glass. He loves Italian glass. And he said, put a black light on that. It may be uranium.
Uranium. That's right. It's the only album I've got with a half-life, and it's full of isotopes.
Beautiful cover, yeah.
But it is a lovely thing, and it's a lovely record too. It really is. It's another sort of Sunday morning classic, So.
We could do this all day long. One record that I'm sure, there's so many records to choose from and so many to show. One record I'm sure you could have shown that us both like would be Agnes Obel.
Oh, yeah, what a woman she is. Yeah, Agnes Obel. I've got a couple of hers. Aventine I have, and she's got a new one out, hasn't she? And I don't have it yet. I haven't played it yet. But the one I know best is Citizen of Glass, Adam.
Mm-hmm. And I did get the Record Store Day 7. I don't know if you got that or not, Simon.
I don't think I did.
I had I tried to order it. I wasn't able to get it, so I did go online, and I paid the eBay prices for it.
Oh, look at that!
But it's on Deutsche Grammophon, DCC.
Grammophon, yeah, there it is. Look, so that's it, is it? Island of Doom. Yeah,
and so I kind of kept it over here to the side to show you, but
oh, look at that! That's lovely.
Yeah, so there you go.
Oh, bless you. That's I must look out for that because she is stunning. She's so good. So she's Danish, but she's based in Berlin, and I don't know. She seems to write this really sort of fractured, sort of breathless music. Very little in it. Just piano, bit of cello, the odd bit of drumming, not much.
And her YouTube videos are wonderful.
Really, I've not seen her videos.
Yeah.
But she conjures up these amazing moods and very strong, powerful sort of emotions out of almost nothing, it seems to me. So, yeah, Agnes Obel, amazing. And so the album Citizen of Glass, Adam, there's this German idea called of the Gläserne Bürger. And it's a German phrase, Gläserne Bürger, and it means the citizen made of glass. And yeah, sorry, have you... Yeah. Yes, Bonobo, got plenty of Bonobo. Yes, I have Tycho. Yes, I have M83. Fortet, I don't. I don't know who Fortet are. Actually, the name rings a bell, but I don't have the artist. I've got a few Bonobo albums, actually. I like Migration. I like Animal Magic. I've got something about Sands, isn't it? Something Sands. Black Sands, is it? Tycho, yes, I've got 2 Tycho albums, and I've got Hurry Up We're Dreaming and the one before that by M83. But Fortet, no, I don't have it. Just back to Citizen of Glass. So the Gläserne Bürger is this idea, it's a privacy thing. And so the Germans believe that if these companies have so much information about you, to them, you are made of glass. You are see-through. You are transparent to them. And so the Germans have this idea of, well, they want to limit that. And so they have all this sort of data privacy sort of stuff going on in Europe. And they use this idea of the citizen of glass. That phrase is used to sort of explain the concept of if a company knows this much about you, you are made of glass. And so that was the title of her album, which I adored. It's a beautiful record, but it's a really interesting idea as well.
Absolutely. Simon, Carson posed a question yesterday on yesterday's Coffee and Vinyl. If there's one band or one artist that you only listen to them for 1 month, who would that be?
Gosh, that's interesting. I think if you're going to do that, it has to be an artist with range, an artist who's produced like lots of different sort of styles and sounds over a period. And there's probably there's sort of two contenders, but there's only one strong possibility, I think. I think The Cure, for me, played a role in that. In my teens, I was Cure mad. I had lots of stuff, and their early stuff was quite sort of stripped back, and then later stuff was quite heavy and grungy, and then quite gothic and all that. And that was fine. But I haven't played a lot of Cure in the last decade. The artist that's probably lived with me longest and traveled the journey longest is Bowie. And, you go all the way back to Space Oddity, and you think all the way through to Let's Dance. You've got disco at one end, and you've got folk at the other beginning. You've got glam rock and all points in between. You've got some German broody stuff from Berlin when he was sharing a flat with Iggy Pop and churning out Low and Heroes. He had a sort of mad phase with Tin Machine, which I've only got a little bit of that. I think it would be David Bowie, really, and that's probably because there probably aren't many artists who have a greater stylistic range than Bowie. And I think, you could wake up in any mood you like across a whole of a month, and you'd find that he had something to say about it. That could provide some comfort or some soundtrack for your day.
My first thought was Cure, Pink Floyd. Then I was like, well, I'm very familiar with their stuff, and I just wanted to reach into something I wasn't as familiar with, but yet somebody who had a large body of work. So my choice was Chicago. And so there you go there. Let's see what other comments we have here. So Mike Sweeney chose John Fahey, and he says, I need to put Daniel Bachman in the Glenn Jones. And Glenn Jones, yeah. Sean, now spinning TV, similar musical tastes. Shame I just turned on into the live stream. Please share your YouTube link. You can watch this on the replay.
So you're recording this, aren't you? So someone could play it back. And I don't have a YouTube link. I don't know whether I feel like I should go and get one now.
One thing you can do, Sean, I'm sure everybody knows this. You can just take that little red button on the timeline and just go back to the beginning. And because it takes sometimes 2 days before the live chats appear when it's rendered. And but as far as Simon, he does have a YouTube account. He's not a creator on YouTube yet. He's a wonderful creator with his podcast. And there's a link right there to his podcast, Sean. And but whenever Simon does put some content on his YouTube channel,
I must scratch my head and think of something to to offer up. I hadn't even.
Absolutely, I'd be sure to share it with everyone. And so there we go. Let's see. Yeah. So there we go. There.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Different parts of the world, and we have a similar taste in music. Isn't that weird how music goes?
Yeah. If you were to share your YouTube channel, people could subscribe. They could hit the bell, and then whenever your first video goes live,
I see.
First video is posted, they can get a notification. Simon just posted. So yeah, that's something you want to think about in the future. Yeah.
I might. Gosh, I've been too modest with my
American polar opposites. They know everything about us.
And that's probably a reference to the Citizen of Glass. Yes. So you're all made of glass. Rick Astley, very good. Yes. Rick Astley's having a revival. He's suddenly really popular all over again. He just had a new album and people really love it. And out of nowhere, he's back in the charts. And his new material is actually very strong. It's really good.
I think that's those people that are like, they're afraid to buy it, but yet they go to their car or their house and the home.
Pleasure, isn't it?
Yeah. And they just love it.
Yeah. I've been to Rick Astley's got a pub. It's in London. It's in Shoreditch. And it's really good. I can't remember what it's called, but yes, Rick Astley has a pub in London, and you can go there. And thank you, Lady Mercantile. I feel sure I need to start a YouTube channel.
We discussed that a little earlier, Simon. He would love to do that. However, he's with a service now where he pays royalties so that he can stream the music, and that way the artist is rewarded or wages earned.
So
And
they're not so much podcasts as radio shows. I actually play, and I've got all the prep behind me. I've got 29 tracks lined up for a show I'm going to record probably tonight. And but clearly, I didn't own any of this music. I have to pay. Well, the artist would expect royalties for any tracks I play. So if I do it through Mixcloud, I can make sure the artist gets what they should. And I'm covered legally to play their music and just talk rubbish about it.
absolutely, yeah. A lot of people are encouraging you.
They just, thank you. This is great.
That's it. There you go. Yeah, and even just as much as like, this is my audio setup. This is the beautiful Blaupunkt that I purchased. Blah blah blah. But a minute, 90 seconds. People make a lot. And then of course,
there you are. Thank you. I'm inspired by this experience too.
I love this record right here. The one before this, the one it just you can talk about it as a narrative without sampling or playing the music at all. So yeah, thank you so much for being respectful to artists and their earnings and the value that they put on their.
Oh hell yeah! If we didn't do that, then there wouldn't be any artists, especially at this time where they can't perform live and make a living.
Absolutely. I think it's also wonderful to be able to share music with people. And I wish YouTube would give us a little bit of, so I could
leeway,
sample this a little bit and let everybody hear how wonderful this is. And the same is true with everybody, but I respect and understand that. Yeah. Simon, big plans for the day, big plans for the weekend. How's our morning going to be? You're already in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, I think your morning will be fine. I'm already into my afternoon here. Oh, bless you, sir. Thank you. Well, give it a whirl. See what you think. There's 8 shows out there, and a 9th is imminent. So they're about 2 hours a pop, 25 tracks ish, and lots of stuff we talked about, and a fair bit we haven't. So. No plans really, Adam. No, I'm actually on vacation this week. So if I was working ordinarily, all my US friends on the East Coast would be waking up and ringing me. And so that's why this is hard to do when I'm in the middle of a normal work day. But no plans.
You're exactly right, Carson. However, there's something about respect. And if you've ever had any of your talent been rewarded for your talent in any way, you understand how important that is. And for some people, there's a livelihood. And just because somebody has a record deal, just because someone's traveling in a band, that doesn't necessarily mean they're millionaires. They could be just struggling just as much as anybody. Yeah. And, and now musicians and artists, they need as much royalty as they can get because of the pandemic, and they're not able to perform in the venue where their talent is purchased. And, but first and foremost, it's a respect. I could get in my car, I can go 90 miles an hour around the Beltline. Easy. But for one thing, with my vision, no way. And the other thing is, like, I want to follow the law, because if I get caught, there's consequences for that. And so there you go. And hey, we all push the envelope when we try, but I try to be careful.
I had to look into it for a long, long time. And then there's SoundCloud and Mixcloud. And actually, a lot of legal changes in the US in the last few years have really put say college radio and small broadcast hobbyist broadcasters, just put them out of business completely because they can't get coverage for royalty rates, and they leave themselves wide open. And so Live 365 was one. I think that's gone fut. There was another one called there was Icecast, there was Shoutcast, there's quite a few of these all-in-one providers where you pay a fee and it would cover your license to use their platform and also your royalties, and then pretty much at a stroke they all went out of business. Was it Autonomy was one? Radio.co, and the only thing you can do now is do these things but only speak.
Napster, LimeWire, never mind. Yeah.
So if you want to play music, royalties is a thing. You got to really watch out for it legally, because otherwise they
I'm gonna plug a couple things, Simon, before we say our goodbyes. My current contest, folks, is on YouTube. I encourage everyone to participate in the contest. This is Andrew Gold's record, What's Wrong with This Picture? Folks, there's some things that's wrong with this picture. Make a video, tell me all about it. Tonight at 9:30, I've Got a Bike. We're discussing the music from the soundtrack more, played and composed by the Pink Floyd. We talking about this tonight.
Wow.
Tomorrow we have Raleigh NC Records joining us for coffee and vinyl, and can't wait to see what he's going to share with us. It's always fun for me to have a guest because I get to check it out too. Yeah. There's plenty going on behind the scenes of fair use. Look up. Yes. And I've been familiar with Rick for many years. Rick's a good fellow. He lives down in Georgia, which is south of me. Yeah. And so Rick he's from an education standpoint. However, if you have a YouTube channel, you have X number of subs, blah, 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 you do begin to generate some income. And if you're Jay Leno, you generate more income, and things like that. And YouTube's not doing this for fun, folks. They could care less about any of the content value that any of the YouTube creators post. It's a business for them. It's a bunch of lawyers communicating with the lawyers and making everything happen. And
you want to get caught in the crossfire of that, do you?
Absolutely. No. More Pink Floyd. Simon, I have not only enjoyed I've not only enjoyed seeing the music, but also a little time in the green room to catch up with you. I'm looking so forward. I think you were planning to be here. Was it Record Store Day in April?
It was. I think I came at the end of, I think it's sort of back end of November 2019, just about December time, I think it was. And then I came again in sort of late January, early February, I think it was, of this year. So I'm 6 months plus since I last was able to come across and see you. And I think I drove out to Wake Forest to see you. I hadn't seen the Wake Forest store, and you gave me the grand tour, and we had a bit of fun, and it was good. And we hung out for a few hours, so that was cool. Before all of this craziness blew up. So here's hoping we can get back to those carefree, happy times and do simple stuff like talk rubbish about records without worrying about
anything to the PR crowd.
I'm sorry?
You want to say anything to PR crowd? Which is PR Players Retreat?
Players Retreat, yes. Fabulous bar just up the road from your Raleigh store, where I'm often to be found when I'm in town. It's a sort of, it's not a dive bar exactly, but it's certainly a beat up, lived in 60-year-old bar, which for that area is old, isn't it? So there's so much new stuff around there that a bar like that,
right?
feels pretty old. And I love the vibe in there; it's very cool. So they're having a tough time right now. So God willing, they can get back on their feet, and I can swing by for a beer soon.
Absolutely, and good thing they had outdoor seating, which is really helping them out now.
Is that right?
Yes. Well, great. Cool. I can't thank you enough. Would you come? Would you come back again in the future and do it?
Oh, gladly. Yeah, whenever. No problem at all. Love doing this kind of stuff.
Maybe we can do no, you can't do an evening, because if I go live at 9:30, 10, 11, 12, 1.
Yeah, I'll be in bed.
You'll be well into the morning.
Yeah, I probably should be in bed if I'm not. Yeah.
Or maybe sometime on the weekend, or if you just happen to have another free day that you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to do it, sir. Happy to do it. And listen, good luck with everything, and nice to meet everybody here virtually. I'm glad to make your acquaintance, and I hope you enjoyed some of the records I had, and hopefully jump on and do this again soon.
Yeah, and Russell has one final comment, and then we can say goodbye to everybody.
Sure.
You'll appreciate this. Dun, 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 dun. All right, here we go. ZZ Top forever. There you go. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Simon, take care.
Pleasure. Thanks, everyone.